The starship Resolute Wanderer cut through the void like a long, gleaming blade, its hull traced with the faint scars of years spent crossing regions of space where no human ship had ventured before. At its helm stood Commander Rowan Halberg, a man whose patience, caution, and unwavering determination had earned him respect in every corridor of the vessel. He was not striking, not a figure of myth or legend, but there was something in the quiet steadiness of his gaze that spoke to the many hours he had spent staring down impossible odds and refusing to bow. Those who served with him trusted him wholly, not because of charisma, but because he had never once failed to put their lives before his own ambitions. The crew around him moved with the focused rhythm of individuals who had long since grown comfortable with the certainty that danger lurked far beyond every star. Today, that danger had a shape none of them could yet define. The Resolute Wanderer had been traveling through the telluric expanse, a swath of cosmic emptiness marked only by the distant shimmer of far-off nebulae. It was rumored to be haunted by the remains of civilizations long extinct, their remnants drifting through the region like mute witnesses to the frailties of sapient life. Humanity had embraced these myths with curiosity rather than fear, for it was their way to look into the dark and ask what else might be found there. Even so, Rowan had ordered heightened vigilance when the ship's long-range sensors began to report distortions. Whispers of gravitational fluctuations spread through the crew like the early gusts of a coming storm. They were explorers, but they were not reckless. They had survived so long precisely because they expected the unknown. In the navigation chamber, Specialist Odin Marin stared at the readings with furrowed concentration. He was young, perhaps too young for the responsibilities he carried, yet he possessed a sharpness of mind Rowan valued. Odin's fingers glided across the crystalline interface as streams of holographic data danced around him in gentle arcs of light. "Commander," he said, his voice steady despite the tension that rippled beneath, "the distortion pattern is intensifying. Frequency is stable, but amplitude is rising. Whatever is generating this is massive." Rowan leaned closer, studying the shimmering waveforms. They resembled the signature of a wormhole, yet not quite. They suggested intention rather than random collapse, as though something was pushing from the other side. "Maintain our course for now," Rowan answered. "Scan for artificial structures, energy signatures, anything out of place." Odin nodded, silently grateful for the commander's calm. The bridge hummed with the subtle undertones of the ship's engine core as more officers entered, drawn by the alert pings rippling through the intercom. Among them was Senior Engineer Maya Koldus, short in stature, but possessing a will of iron that made her seem far larger. She wiped a smear of carbon residue from her cheek as she approached Rowan. "If this distortion intensifies much further, it's going to start pulling at our field harmonics," she said. "I can stabilize the core, but only if we know what direction the shift is coming from." Rowan gave a slow nod. "We find out. The scans will tell us more." His voice carried the weight of the unknown that pressed against them like a heavy, unseen tide. Moments stretched as Odin's scans reached deeper and deeper into the swirling anomaly. Light flickered across his eyes as the interface fed him more data. Then suddenly he inhaled sharply. "Contact," he said. The single word shifted the atmosphere of the bridge. Conversations halted. Hearts quickened. Rowan's eyes hardened. "What kind of contact?" Odin swallowed. "A structure, no, several structures. Metallic signatures consistent with manufactured design. I count 8, maybe 9. They're arranged in a circular formation around the epicenter of the distortion." Maya leaned in, her expression sharpening. "A gate?" Odin hesitated. "Not like any gate humanity has built. This thing generates power on a scale that doesn't make sense. It's as if the structure is drawing energy from the distortion itself." Rowan felt the stirrings of something he rarely allowed himself to indulge: excitement. Humanity had crossed star systems, built colonies, survived wars, yet the universe remained an ocean of secrets. To find something no human had imagined, that was the essence of discovery. But excitement could blind even the wise, and so Rowan tempered it quickly. "Bring us closer, but no further than 500 kilometers," he ordered. "We observe first. We learn what it is before we decide anything." The order was met with a chorus of acknowledgements. As the ship drifted toward the anomaly, the crew witnessed something that would reshape every theory humanity had formed about the cosmos. The distortion grew visible, a rippling sphere of shifting blue and silver that pulsed in rhythmic waves. Around it, colossal constructs hung in perfect, silent formation. They resembled monolithic spires of metal fused with shimmering crystalline veins. Each one glowed with luminous lines that pulsed like the heartbeat of a sleeping colossus. The architecture defied human principles, its curves impossibly smooth, and its surfaces shifting like liquid metal responding to currents unseen. Rowan's breath caught. "This wasn't abandoned," he said. "It's active." Odin's voice trembled with awe. "Commander, I'm detecting energy flow across the entire structure. Patterns resemble neural networks. It could be thinking." Maya crossed her arms. "Thinking? Machines don't think like we do." Odin shook his head. "This isn't a machine as we define it." A pulse rippled outward from the distortion, gentle yet palpable. The ship shuddered slightly as if brushed by an immense, unseen hand. Alarms chimed. "Stabilizers holding," announced Tactical Officer Bren Aster, "but we cannot get any closer without risking hull stress." Rowan nodded. "Maintain distance. Let the sensors do the work." Another pulse washed over them. This time it carried something more, a resonance, faint but impossible to ignore. A sound without sound, a message without words, a pressure that pressed against the mind like a question waiting for an answer. Several officers stiffened, sensing it. Rowan felt it too, a presence reaching out, curious and ancient. "Did anyone else feel that?" he asked quietly. Odin nodded. "It's broadcasting, not in any language but something conceptual." Maya frowned. "Conceptual, yes," Odin answered. "It feels like intent." The resonance pulsed again, and lights flared across the alien constructs. The crystalline veins glowed brighter, threads of energy weaving between structures like strands of some celestial web. Rowan's instincts screamed caution even as his mind raced with possibility. Before he could issue a command, a new reading flashed across Odin's display. "Commander," he said, voice tight, "there's movement inside the distortion." The entire bridge fell silent. They watched as the sphere's surface rippled and parted, revealing a silhouette emerging from its depths. At first it was only a shadow, indistinct and fluid, but as it drew closer, its form solidified into something both awe-inspiring and terrifying. A vessel unlike anything human eyes had ever witnessed drifted into the open. It was enormous, dwarfing even the largest human dreadnoughts. Its hull shimmered with shifting colors, as though woven from strands of starlight and shadow. Curving plates of unknown alloy folded seamlessly along its body. It bore no visible weapons, yet its presence radiated power beyond comprehension. It moved with purpose, slow, deliberate, aware. Rowan felt the hairs rise on his arms. This was no derelict. This was no remnant. This was a living civilization. Bren's voice shook. "It's scanning us." Rowan steadied himself. "Let it. If it wanted us destroyed, it would not need to analyze us first." The alien vessel drifted closer, its movements graceful, almost hypnotic. The resonance pulsed again, stronger this time, and Rowan felt something brush against his thoughts, another mind, vast and ancient, reaching out. He braced himself, expecting hostility. Instead, he sensed curiosity and caution mingled like intertwined rivers. Whatever intelligence commanded the vessel was not aggressive by nature, but it was not passive either. Odin gasped suddenly. "Commander, its energy output is spiking. Something is happening." On the view screen, the alien ship extended a filament of light toward the resolute wanderer. It was thin, almost delicate, like a thread of glass stretching across space. It made no contact with their hull, instead hovering in the void like a gesture of invitation. Rowan studied it, unsure whether to feel threatened or intrigued. Is it attacking us? Bren asked. No, Odin whispered. It's communicating. Rowan exhaled slowly. Then let's try to understand. Maya's hand hovered over the engineering console. If this goes wrong, I'm venting half the conduits. Rowan allowed himself a faint smile. Understood. He stepped toward the center of the bridge, facing the projection of the filament. This is Commander Rowan Halberg of the human starship Resolute Wanderer, he said, knowing words were inadequate but offering them nonetheless. We come in peace, we seek knowledge. The filament pulsed in response. Light rippled along its length, brightening in rhythmic patterns. Odin's console lit up. Commander, he said, amazement creeping into his voice, it's translating, not into words, but into shared concepts. It understands we're trying to communicate. Rowan felt a swell of cautious hope. What does it want? Odin hesitated. Contact, exchange, it wants to connect with our systems. Maya's eyes widened. Absolutely not. We have no idea what interfacing with that thing would do. Rowan agreed. It was a request too dangerous to consider lightly. The alien vessel could overwhelm their systems, infect them, hijack them. And yet, if this civilization meant harm, it could obliterate them with no need for deception. The fact that it asked suggested an intent rooted in cooperation rather than conquest. Is there a way to isolate a connection? Rowan asked. Maya considered. Maybe I could create a sealed buffer module cut off from core systems, but if something goes wrong, it could still overwrite the module completely. Rowan nodded. Do it. Despite her apprehension, Maya moved quickly. Minutes later, the isolation module was ready. Rowan gave the signal. The filament of light drifted closer, stopping before the ship's redundant data port. It extended like a whispering tendril and gently touched the interface. A flash of brilliance erupted across the display as the alien presence flowed into the buffer. Odin gasped as data surged across his console, patterns, shapes, histories, ideas. It's sending us memories, he whispered. Rowan leaned forward. Project them. The holographic display shifted, revealing visions from a distant world, towering structures of crystal and metal rising into skies of deep turquoise, creatures of luminous form walking through vast halls, a civilization built on harmony with energies no human science had ever mastered. Rowan felt overwhelmed by the sheer beauty and complexity of it. And then, as the visions deepened, a darker image emerged, an encroaching force, shapeless and relentless, devouring stars and civilizations alike, a cosmic hunger that drove species to extinction. Rowan felt his blood run cold. What is that? He murmured. Odin's voice trembled. A threat, one that destroyed them, or nearly did. The final vision showed the alien constructs surrounding the distortion, revealed now as a protective seal, a barrier to contain something monstrous. Rowan understood. This place was not merely a relic, it was a warning, and the alien vessel had emerged not to greet explorers, but to ensure the barrier remained intact. Rowan exhaled slowly, the weight of revelation sinking in. Humanity had stumbled upon something enormous, something ancient, something that could reshape the destiny of every living being. And the alien mind, vast and weary, had reached out to humanity with a single unspoken question. Would they stand beside it, or would they flee as others had? Rowan straightened, resolve burning bright within him. Humanity had never been the kind to run. The bridge of the Resolute Wanderer remained suspended in stunned silence long after the final images faded from the buffer module. Every member of the crew stood motionless, absorbing what they had witnessed. A civilization of tremendous beauty and intellect driven to the brink of annihilation by a force that defied all known principles of physics, biology, and reason. It had not been a predator that hunted for survival, nor a rival empire hungry for conquest. It had been something else entirely, something that consumed not out of need, but out of an intrinsic, terrifying function. A force that devoured the light of suns, hollowed worlds, and left nothing behind but cold, unfeeling void. Rowan felt its echo lingering in his thoughts, like the fading tremor of a nightmare. If the alien memories were true, then what lay sealed behind the shimmering distortion was a threat powerful enough to reduce not just civilizations, but entire galactic regions to dust. Humanity had discovered wonders in its starbound journey, but never something like this. Never something so fundamentally opposed to life itself. Odin's voice broke the heavy quiet, barely above a whisper. "Commander, the connection with the alien vessel is holding. It's waiting." Rowan nodded slowly. "It wants an answer." Bren frowned, rubbing the back of his neck. "We just saw the destruction of an entire people. We are explorers, not warriors." "Whatever that thing is, what can we possibly do against it?" Maya crossed her arms defensively. "And what happens if the seal fails, or if we touch something we should? The last thing humanity needs is for us to drag some cosmic horror back to our borders because we got curious." Rowan considered her words carefully. Caution had saved many lives throughout humanity's expansion. But fear had never stopped humanity from confronting threats that sought to eclipse its future. "We need more information," Rowan said. "We can't make decisions based on glimpses. We need to understand the alien vessel, the seal, and the nature of the threat behind it." Odin glanced at his console. "The alien presence is still communicating through patterns. It's not forcing data. It's waiting for us to engage." Rowan took a deep breath. "Let's respond." He gestured for Odin to project the outgoing signal. The ship's systems emitted a gentle pulse, a conceptual echo crafted to convey acknowledgement. The alien vessel shimmered in response, its hull rippling with soft, shifting light like a living surface stirred by a breeze. Then a new pattern surged across the buffer module. Images began to form once more, but these were different. Not memories, but explanations, tools, diagrams, maps. Rowan watched as vast networks of energy fields appeared before them. "It's showing us how the seal works," Odin said, awe creeping back into his voice. The holograms depicted the gateway-like structures surrounding the distortion. Within them, a crystalline matrix generated a barrier of unimaginable strength, powered by something Rowan could only describe as ambient cosmic currents. The alien civilization had not built a prison. They had woven a cage out of the very fabric of the universe. Yet as Rowan studied the diagrams, he noticed breaks, hairline fractures in the structure that pulsed with faint instability. "The seal is failing," he said quietly. Odin nodded grimly. "Yes, very slowly but inevitably. The alien vessel emerged because it senses the weakening. It came to prevent a breach." Bren frowned. "By itself?" Odin shook his head. "No, it came to seek help." Rowan felt the weight of that realization settle in his chest. Humanity was not known for stepping away from challenges. But stepping toward one like this required more than courage. It required unity between species, trust built over mere minutes, and decisions that could determine the fate of countless worlds. Maya exhaled sharply. "Even if we wanted to help, who are we to meddle with cosmic structures built by a civilization that harnessed energies beyond our understanding? We repair engines and stabilize reactors. We don't patch holes in ancient stellar seals." Rowan met her gaze. "You say that as if humanity hasn't done the impossible a dozen times before. We adapt, we innovate, we survive, and we help others survive." Maya paused, her expression softening. "I want to believe we can, but this is bigger than any of us." Rowan turned back to the display. "The alien species didn't ask us to solve this alone. It asked us to stand with it." The resonance pulsed gently within the buffer module, as if responding to Rowan's words. A new hologram appeared. This time it depicted a starfield marked with coordinates far beyond known charts, a map of ancient bastions once maintained by the alien civilization. "These locations," Odin murmured, leaning closer, "their sources, focal points that help stabilize the seal, but they're dormant now, abandoned." Rowan nodded slowly. "They need to be reactivated." Bren raised a brow. "By us?" "Yes," Rowan said, "by us." The alien presence pulsed again, sending a fragment of conceptual clarity. Rowan felt a faint impression of urgency, gentle but insistent. The seal was centuries or millennia old. It could not endure forever without restoration, and humanity had arrived at the exact moment when its potential collapse loomed just close enough to warrant intervention. Odin hesitated. "Commander, if this species nearly fell trying to maintain it, how are we supposed to handle what they could not?" Rowan considered this long and hard. The truth was plain. Humanity did not yet possess the technology or understanding needed to fully manipulate a cosmic seal. But they could learn. They could explore the bastions, study the old systems, reactivate dormant supports. They didn't need mastery, not yet. They only needed to strengthen the structure enough to buy time, time for humanity, time for the alien species, time for any others who might walk the stars after them. "Open a channel," Rowan said. "Let's send a message back." Odin initiated the outgoing conceptual pulse. Rowan took a step forward. "We understand your request," he said clearly, knowing the words were only symbolic. "We are willing to explore these bastions, but we will not recklessly endanger our people. We need guidance. We need cooperation. We need trust." The alien vessel responded with a shimmer that rippled across its surface in waves of soft brilliance. The resonance deepened, carrying an unmistakable impression of acceptance. Then something unexpected happened. A beam of radiant energy emerged from the alien vessel, striking the space beside the resolute wanderer. Waves of luminous geometry unfolded, curves, lines, shifting arcs. A structure assembled itself before the crew's eyes, forming a sphere of crystalline lattice interwoven with threads of shimmering metal. It was small, roughly the size of a human's torso. It hovered silently in the vacuum, pulsing with soft energy. Rowan watched it, waiting for danger, but sensed none. "What is that?" Maya whispered. Odin strained over the readings. "It's an interface node. A portable translator, a conduit, something that will let us interact safely with alien systems without compromising our ship." The structure drifted closer, making no move to attach or intrude. It simply waited. Rowan understood. "Retrieve it," he said, "but maintain strict containment protocols." With careful precision, the engineering team extracted the node using a sealed docking cradle. When it entered the ship, it floated softly above the platform as if supported by invisible currents. Its surface changed subtly with every moment, never static, always expressing some unspoken purpose. Maya circled it cautiously. "It's beautiful," she murmured, unable to hide her fascination. Odin joined her, or lighting his eyes. "This will let us interface with the alien bastions." "It's a guide, but also a shield." Rowan felt a sense of profound responsibility settle upon him. "Prepare the ship," he said. "Begin plotting the course to the nearest bastion." Bren blinked. "We just go," Rowan nodded. "We don't have time to hesitate. The seal won't fix itself." The crew moved quickly to ready the ship for departure. Energy flows shifted, engines recalibrated, navigational pathways lit up with new coordinate threads. The resolute wanderer adjusted its position to face the vast unknown. As preparations unfolded, Rowan took a moment alone, stepping to the viewplane that overlooked the alien vessel and the swirling distortion behind it. He studied the seal's luminous arcs and the faint fractures running through them. Humanity stood at the edge of something monumental, something that would test their resolve, their unity, and their ingenuity. He thought of the alien memories, the towering crystalline spires, the vibrant skies, the luminous beings who had created masterpieces of science and art before succumbing to a darkness they could not overcome. Humanity had crossed space for knowledge, for expansion, for hope. But now their purpose extended far beyond curiosity. Now they carried the legacy of a fallen civilization and the burden of preventing an ancient catastrophe from awakening again. Rowan touched his hand to the glass. "We'll help you," he whispered to the unseen mind that listened from the alien vessel. "We're not turning away." A soft knock sounded behind him. Maya approached, her expression tempered by equal parts worry and determination. "Engines are ready," she said, "and the interface node is stable. Whatever awaits us out there, we'll face it." Rowan nodded. "All of us will." Together they returned to the bridge. The rest of the crew stood ready, stations lit, systems armed. The hum of anticipation vibrated through the ship like the heartbeat of a living thing. "Set course," Rowan ordered, "and inform the alien vessel we're moving out." Odin sent the message. The alien ship responded with a soft cascade of shimmering light, as if offering a silent blessing. Then it drifted closer to the distortion, taking up a sentinel position to guard the seal while humanity ventured forth. The resolute wanderer turned away from the anomaly. Engines flared. Stars stretched into streaks. And with a brilliant flash of motion, the ship leapt into faster-than-light travel toward the first alien bastion, toward ancient secrets, perilous challenges, and a destiny humanity had never sought, but now could not refuse. The path ahead promised danger, wonder, and trial, and Rowan knew deep in his bones that whatever awaited them at the first bastion would be nothing like they expected. For the universe rarely revealed its greatest threats without also revealing its greatest tests. Humanity was about to face both. The resolute wanderer emerged from faster-than-light transit into a region of space unlike any the crew had ever encountered. From a distance, the starless expanse surrounding the first alien bastion resembled a vast cosmic desert, dead and empty. But once the ship crossed its luminous threshold, the view transformed abruptly into a realm shimmering with threads of radiant matter. Veins of iridescent energy arced across the void like lightning frozen in time, weaving an intricate web that pulsed with slow, purposeful rhythm. The crew stared in breathless silence, struck by the surreal contrast. This place defied natural law as humanity understood it. It was both breathtaking and deeply unsettling. The alien coordinates had guided them to a region the old civilization had called the Verata Expanse. Odin translated its conceptual meaning as the place where the universe remembers itself. It felt appropriate. Memory was everywhere here, etched into the very fabric of the void through luminous currents that hummed quietly against the ship's hull. Rowan leaned forward in his chair, eyes fixed on the vast construct ahead. "There it is," he murmured. Suspended amid the glowing currents was the bastion. It resembled a colossal lattice sphere, constructed of interwoven metallic arcs fused with crystalline channels. Some parts glowed faintly, while others lay dark and dormant. It was easily 3 times the size of the resolute wanderer, yet the structure carried no sense of menace, only age. Deep, ancient age, like an abandoned cathedral floating in an endless sea of starlit memory. Odin ran scans immediately. "I'm picking up structural integrity well within stable range. The bastion is intact, mostly." Rowan raised a brow. "Mostly. Some of the crystalline channels have fractured. Energy flow is limited." Maya stepped closer to Odin's console. "Without energy, the bastion can't support the seal. We need to reactivate it somehow." Odin nodded. The interface node should help. The crystalline sphere they had collected from the alien vessel hovered gently above a containment pad at the center of the bridge. As the ship approached the bastion, the node began to glow. Threads of light swirled within it, curling like luminous mist trapped inside glass. The pulsing gradually aligned with the rhythm of the bastion itself. Rowan felt a tingling sensation at the edge of consciousness, only faint but unmistakable. "It's communicating with the bastion already," he said. "It's harmonizing." The node drifted from its cradle, hovering toward the main projection table as though guided by unseen hands. Bren took an involuntary step back. "Is it supposed to do that?" Maya scowled. "Hard to say, but it doesn't appear hostile." The node settled above the table and emitted a gentle beam of light that curved into a 3-dimensional schematic of the bastion. The hologram slowly rotated, revealing pathways of energy, dormant nodes, and core mechanisms that pulsed faintly like a dying heartbeat. Odin studied the projection with focused intensity. "The bastion draws its power from the surrounding energy currents," he said. "But those currents are out of alignment. That's why the bastion is inactive. We need to restabilize the flow." Rowan nodded. "Can we?" Maya considered the question carefully. With what the interface node is giving us, maybe, but we will have to board the bastion. Remote activation won't be enough. Rowan expected as much. Humanity had always needed to touch what it sought to understand. "Prepare the boarding teams," he said. "Maya, Odin, you're with me." Bren stiffened. "Commander, with respect, you shouldn't be the one walking into unknown alien structures." Rowan gave him a level glance. "We can't afford hesitation, and I won't send my people into danger without walking beside them." Bren opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. Rowan's reputation wasn't built on abandoning caution, but he never demanded risks he himself wasn't willing to take. The docking maneuver required precision. The bastion had no traditional ports, only open apertures that resembled spiraling gateways. The ship extended its adaptive docking bridge toward one such aperture, guided by the interface node's soft pulses. As the bridge connected, the aperture's inner channels awakened, glowing softly with azure light. "Docking secure," Bren announced. "Atmosphere within the aperture is stable, if it can even be called atmosphere." "Let's move," Rowan said, strapping on his exploration gear. Maya secured a portable toolkit forged from alloys resistant to exotic energies, while Odin carried a compact analysis pack designed to interface with unknown technology. Behind them, a small security team equipped with multispectrum shields followed silently. The docking bridge shimmered as they passed through, its surface composed of flexible micropanels adapting to the faint gravitational anomalies of the bastion. Beyond the bridge, the interior of the bastion greeted them with a vast chamber illuminated by shimmering lights that flowed like liquid along the walls. The air was cool and carried a faint, crystalline scent, unlike anything Rowan had encountered. The floor was patterned with intricate geometric shapes that shifted subtly as they walked, responding to their presence. "It's scanning us," Odin said softly, "reading our biology, assessing our intentions." Rowan kept his posture steady. "Let it watch. We come to repair." At the far end of the chamber, a massive crystalline pillar rose like the trunk of a star-forged tree. Its surface was cracked, dim in places where energy no longer flowed. Thin streams of light trickled through some channels, barely maintaining structural coherence. Rows of smaller nodes surrounded the pillar, all dormant. "This is the heart of the bastion," Maya said. "Without restoring power here, nothing else will work." Odin approached the pillar carefully. The interface node hovered forward, drifting toward a console-like formation at the base. When it touched the surface, a wave of energy pulsed outward. The console awakened, projecting a pattern of symbols and flowing diagrams. Odin studied them, his fingers tracing the holographic shapes. "It's showing us how to repair the fractures," he whispered, "but we'll need to manually align the conduits." Rowan examined the schematic closely. "What exactly do we align?" "Energy channels," Odin explained. "These pathways direct cosmic currents into the core, but they're shattered in multiple places. Some of the pieces are still intact, but others may need reconstruction using the bastion's internal material." Maya opened her toolkit. "Then we get to work." For the next hour, they moved deliberately through the chamber, guided by the interface node's shifting lights. Maya used specialized instruments to reconnect fractured crystalline segments. Odin recalibrated glowing panels that emitted unfamiliar frequencies. Rowan held stabilizers in place as energy surged through newly repaired conduits, ensuring no overload occurred. The chamber trembled with each successful connection, the heart of the bastion awakening slowly from a long, exhausted slumber. The deeper they worked, the more the bastion responded. Lights brightened. Air pressure increased to steady levels. The floor's geometric patterns shifted more fluidly. Rowan watched as the long-dormant nodes around the pillar flickered to life, their soft pulses forming a rhythmic pattern that resonated with the living architecture. "We are close," Maya said, wiping perspiration from her brow. "Just one more conduit alignment." Odin pointed toward a narrow walkway that led upward into a secondary chamber. "The final conduit lies through there." Rowan motioned for the team to follow. The walkway curved along the inner wall of the bastion, offering a distant view of the glowing currents outside. As they ascended, Rowan felt an odd sensation, just a faint twinge, like a whisper brushing against the edges of thought. He paused. Did anyone else feel that? The others exchanged uncertain looks. Before anyone could answer, the walkway trembled. A deep, resonant pulse echoed through the bastion, far more powerful than the others. Lights dimmed momentarily. Odin's eyes widened. That wasn't from us, he said. Something else is happening. A sudden shift rippled through the luminous currents outside. The glowing web twisted, its movements no longer fluid but erratic. Energy streams collided in chaotic surges, flashing violently. Rowan's instincts sharpened. We triggered something? Maya shook her head. No, this isn't the bastion reacting. This is external. Odin read the incoming data from his analysis pack, his face drained of color. Commander, there's a distortion forming near the edge of the expanse. Something is pushing through. Rowan felt a cold weight settle in his gut. Is it the same as the seal disturbance? No, Odin said softly. It's different. This is smaller, more focused, but similar enough. The realization struck Rowan with clarity. If the ancient threat sealed behind the gates could manipulate or exploit weaknesses in cosmic structures, then any attempt to repair the bastions might draw its attention. And something, some fragment, some echo, might already be reaching outward. The walkway trembled again. A distant rumble vibrated through the bastion's core. The interface node pulsed urgently, projecting warning patterns across the air. It's telling us to hurry, Odin said. If we don't finish the alignment, the bastion won't stabilize in time. Rowan made the decision instantly. Move, now. They ascended quickly into the secondary chamber. The final conduit lay embedded in a tall crystalline arch that pulsed sporadically, leaking unstable energy. Maya knelt beside it. This one is badly damaged, she muttered. It needs a full recalibration. Rowan steadied the structure while she worked. Odin interpreted the node's guidance, calling out sequence patterns. The tremors intensified. Streams of energy outside crackled violently, as though something immense pressed against the boundaries of this ancient sanctuary. Finally, with a sharp snap of restored coherence, the final conduit locked into place. A wave of brilliant light shot through the arch, racing through the entire bastion. The chamber erupted in radiant color as the bastion's systems roared back to life. The heart core blazed with renewed power, projecting luminous arcs that reached into the void. The chaotic currents outside steadied instantly, drawn into alignment by the bastion's restored influence. But just as relief washed through the team, a flash of darkness rippled across one of the luminous streams, a shadow passing through light. Rowan froze. It was small but unmistakable. Something had touched the boundary of the expanse, something watching, something testing. Odin stared in horror. Commander, the threat behind the seal, it noticed. The shadows vanished as quickly as they had appeared, but they left behind a chilling certainty. The ancient enemy had tasted the tremor of awakening, and it would not ignore them. The shadows faded from the luminous currents outside the bastion, but the memory of their presence lingered like a claw mark across Rowan's thoughts. The chamber they stood in hummed now with the renewed vitality of the ancient structure, yet the sense of accomplishment was hollowed out by unease. They had succeeded in reactivating the bastion, yet in doing so, they had stirred something vast and malignant lurking beyond the cosmic veil. Rowan steadied himself, breathing deeply. We need to regroup, he said. Return to the ship. Maya and Odin nodded, shaken but composed. The security team maintained a tight formation, eyes scanning every corner as though expecting the shadows to bleed through reality itself. The walkway back to the docking bridge seemed longer than before. The luminous patterns underfoot pulsed with vigorous energy, resonating like a living heartbeat. The bastion was awake now, fully awake, and its awareness thrummed through the air. Odin glanced uneasily at the shifting lights. It's watching us, he murmured. Rowan gave him a sideways look. Not watching, he said quietly. Acknowledging. Odin hesitated. Is that better? Rowan didn't answer. He wasn't sure himself. As they approached the docking bridge, the interface node drifted ahead of them, guiding their path with soft pulses of light. It had become an indispensable part of their mission, an emissary of the alien civilization whose last remnants lingered on the far side of the seal. Rowan felt a growing respect for the beings who crafted such marvels and a growing dread for the force mighty enough to destroy them. Back aboard the Resolute Wanderer, the bridge crew erupted in questions, but Rowan lifted a hand. "Later," he said, "we have a more urgent problem." He took his seat at the command station. "Bren, give me the status of the anomaly that Odin detected." Bren brought up the scans. The projected image showed a region at the outer rim of the Verato expanse where the luminous currents dipped and swirled unnaturally. "It's stable for now," Bren said. "Whatever that disturbance was, it has faded. No new distortions detected." Rowan leaned in, but it was real. Bren nodded grimly. "Very real." Odin began interfacing with the node. "It says the disturbance was a probing event," he said. "A test from beyond the seal. The ancient enemy was evaluating the bastion's strength." Rowan's jaw tightened. "And now that the bastion is active," Odin exhaled, "we've put a spotlight on ourselves." Maya crossed her arms. "Then we need to keep moving. There are other bastions. We reactivate them, reinforce the seal, and stop whatever is clawing at the boundary." Rowan nodded firmly. "Agreed. We go to the next location immediately." Bren set the coordinates. "Second bastion lies 8 light towers farther into the expanse," course plotted. The engines hummed to life, but before Rowan could give the order, the interface node pulsed sharply, bright enough to cast shifting shadows across the bridge. Odin adjusted the readings. "It wants us to wait." Rowan frowned. "Why?" More patterns pulsed through the node, filling the air with complex geometries. Odin translated quickly. "The bastions were never meant to be activated in rapid succession. Each has a stabilization phase. The energy currents need time to align." Maya nodded slowly. "If we rush, we could destabilize what we just fixed." Rowan sighed, frustrated but understanding. "How long do we wait?" Odin placed his hand near the glowing surface. "The node suggests 12 hours. 12 hours was tolerable." But Rowan knew the threat beyond the seal wouldn't remain idle. "Fine," he said. "We hold position, but we stay alert." The crew settled into a tense rhythm. Navigational drones were deployed to monitor the expanse. Bren ran constant threat scans. Maya inspected the ship for any lingering effects from their time inside the bastion. Rowan reviewed the star maps projected by the node, studying the locations of the remaining bastions. There were 5 in total, 1 reactivated, 4 remaining, each one a pillar holding back a calamity that could swallow galaxies. Hours passed. The Verato expanse glowed steadily around them, currents shifting in renewed harmony following the bastion's awakening. Rowan found himself unable to rest, though his crew urged him to. Instead, he wandered the ship, conversing with crew members, keeping morale steady. Many had questions he couldn't fully answer. Some feared the shadows they had seen flicker in the currents. Others felt awe for the alien technology they had encountered. Most were caught somewhere between the two. Near the 11th hour, Rowan stood alone at the observation deck, watching the luminous river of cosmic memory drift outside. It was beautiful, more beautiful than any nebula he had seen, but beneath the beauty lurked an undertone of dread. He thought of the ancient civilization whose remnants they now relied upon. He pictured those luminous beings fighting desperately to maintain the seal, watching their own bastions crumble as the darkness pressed closer, until they were finally forced to retreat and leave behind only machines, nodes, and warnings. Rowan wondered if humanity was strong enough to finish what they had started. Footsteps approached. Maya joined him, arms folded, eyes fixed on the glowing currents. "Couldn't sleep?" she asked. Rowan shook his head. "Not tonight." She studied him for a moment. "You're carrying too much alone." Rowan gave a faint smile. "I'm the commander. It comes with the job." Maya huffed softly. "Still doesn't mean you should isolate yourself." She paused. We'll get through this, Rowan, one bastion at a time. Before Rowan could respond, a sudden alarm blared through the ship. Bren's voice crackled over the intercom. Commander to the bridge. We have incoming movement, unidentified signature approaching fast. Rowan and Maya sprinted through the corridors, reaching the bridge as the crew scrambled to analyze the readings. Rowan slid into his chair. Report. Bren pointed at the projection. Something S coming in from the outer rim of the expanse. It's small, much smaller than the alien vessel we encountered near the seal. Odin's fingers flew across the console. Energy readings are unstable. Signatures don't match the ancient species, and not the shadows either. Maya frowned. Then what is it? Odin's eyes widened slightly. It's mechanical, but damaged. Rowan leaned forward. Open visual. The screen flickered. A small, battered craft drifted into view, tumbling slowly through the glowing currents. It was unlike any human or alien design they had seen, jagged, asymmetrical plating fused with crystalline shards. Parts of the hull were charred. Other sections were torn apart, as though some colossal force had ripped through them. Rowan's heart sank. Life signs, Bren scanned. Faint, very faint, but present. Odin stared in stunned recognition. Commander, that vessel is from the ancient civilization. It's one of theirs. Rowan stiffened. I thought they were all gone. Odin shook his head helplessly. The memories showed no survivors, but this craft, it has someone aboard. Rowan felt a surge of urgency. Prepare medical. Bring it into docking bay 2, very carefully. The docking maneuver was delicate. The injured craft drifted like a wounded animal, flickering with dying energy. The bays retracted the damaged vessel into containment shields and sealed the atmosphere. Medical teams rushed in. Rowan and the officers followed close behind. Inside the bay, the alien craft's interior flickered with dim light. Crystalline consoles shattered. Strange architecture warped by unknown forces, and at its center, collapsed against a glowing support brace, was a being of shimmering form, its body flickering like a failing star. It was similar in appearance to the luminous figures from the shared memories, though much dimmer, as if its energy had nearly burned away. Odin whispered, "It's alive." Rowan approached cautiously. "Can you understand us?" The being raised its head. Its form shifted weakly, emitting faint pulses of light. The interface node floated forward on its own, projecting patterns of soft illumination like gentle speech. The being responded with a trembling resonance. Odin translated the patterns as they exchanged. It says it fled. It fled from something that was able to reach beyond the seal. Rowan's blood chilled. That's not possible. The seal is intact. Odin's voice trembled. Not entirely. The bastions have been failing for centuries. It found a crack, a small one, but enough. The being emitted another resonance, weak, almost breaking. The node translated. Odin spoke softly, horror growing in his voice. It says it came to warn us. Rowan knelt closer. Warn us of what? The being's fading light flickered violently. A final pulse surged outward, a message of pure terror. Odin received the translation with a pale face. "Commander," he whispered, "the ancient enemy has begun searching for the one who reactivated the bastion." Rowan's breath caught. "Us," Odin nodded. "It's coming." The alien survivor's warning hung in the air long after its light dimmed. Medical staff worked frantically to stabilize its fading form, but Rowan could see the truth in Odin's expression. Whatever the being had endured, whatever force had broken through the seal and given chase, had nearly annihilated it. The resolute wanderer felt suddenly smaller, as though the looming threat pressed against its hull like a storm ready to crack it open. Rowan rose slowly, forcing calm into his voice. "Maya, lock down the docking bay. No one enters without my authorization." Maya nodded and moved to implement the orders. "Bren," Rowan continued, "increase long-range scans. Focus on any distortions near the seal or in the outer currents." He turned to Odin last. "Stay with our visitor. Learn everything you can, but don't push it. If we lose them, we lose our only source of first-hand knowledge." Odin nodded, though his eyes were still fixed on the alien. "I'll do my best," he murmured. Rowan clasped his shoulder briefly. I know. He turned away before doubt could creep into his tone. Back on the bridge, the atmosphere was taut as drawn wire. The luminous expanse outside flowed serenely, masking the danger that lurked just beyond sight. Bren's fingers danced across his controls. Orin kept weapons on standby. Callan rotated the shield harmonics in case the ship needed to dive through volatile currents. Rowan took his seat, steadying his breathing. They could not afford panic. Not now. Moments stretched. Minutes passed. Bren scanned the same regions repeatedly, adjusting sensitivity, filtering noise, compensating for the expanse's fluctuating energy fields. The hum of the ship melded with the distant thrumming of the activated bastion, a low-lying chorus that vibrated through Rowan's bones. Then quietly, "Commander," Bren said, "I'm picking up something." Rowan's pulse quickened. Location, outer rim of the expanse, same region where the wounded craft drifted from, but the readings are strange. Bren zoomed in on the distortions, ribbons of luminous energy bent inward as if pulled toward an unseen center. That alone was concerning, but worse still were the faint shadows rippling across the currents. Maya leaned forward. "Those look like the ones we saw in the bastion." "No," Bren said. "These are larger." Rowan felt the temperature in the room drop a degree. Shadows in the expanse had no physical substance, yet they devoured light itself. They were not organisms, but impressions, manifestations of something colossal pressing against the thin boundary between realities. A tremor passed through the luminous currents on the screen. The shadows thickened. "Is it the enemy?" Maya asked. Odin's voice drifted from the doorway. He had returned from the docking bay hollow-eyed. "It's a scout," he said. "A feeler." The being confirmed it. They send these projections ahead of themselves to test the strength of weakened areas. "How close is it to piercing through?" Rowan asked. Odin hesitated. "It doesn't need to pierce. It needs only to find us." Rowan turned sharply. "Explain." Odin swallowed. "The one in the docking bay said the enemy hunts by resonance. When we reactivated the bastion, it marked us. Our energy signature, our shape was imprinted onto the currents. The enemy can follow that imprint the way scent follows a breeze." Maya exhaled sharply. "So we're a beacon." "Worse," Odin said. "We are the first new resonance the enemy has detected in millennia." Silence fell. Rowan broke it with a decisive shake of his head. "Then we leave, now, before it can lock onto us." Bren was already plotting escape trajectories. "Commander, if we push the engines along the upper currents, we might outrun the distortions before they stabilize." "Do it," Rowan said. "All stations, prepare for immediate acceleration." But before the order could be carried out, the ship jolted violently. The lights dimmed. Every console flickered. "Report," Rowan barked. Callan's hands flew over shield diagnostics. "Some kind of energy pulse hit us, not a weapon, more like a gravity inversion." Bren's voice rose. "The shadows just surged. They're collapsing the currents behind us. If we don't move, we'll be trapped." Rowan slammed his palm on the armrest. "Punch it." Orin diverted auxiliary power to the engines. The resolute wanderer shot forward, cutting across the expanse in a streak of acceleration. The luminous currents parted ahead, swirling past like rivers of cosmic flame. Behind them, the shadows writhed, collapsing space in slow, rolling tremors. The ship shuddered again. Rowan gritted his teeth. "Stabilize." Callan adjusted the harmonics. Shields flickered gold as they resisted the disturbances. The currents ahead began to twist unpredictably. Bren fought the controls, eyes narrowed in concentration. "These distortions aren't natural," he muttered. "It's shaping the field, blocking our path." "Alternative route," Rowan ordered. "Working on it." "Wait," Bren pointed. A narrow channel opened to the port side, a thin ribbon of stable current weaving like a winding corridor. "There, it's tight, but we can make it." "Take us in," Rowan said. The ship veered sharply. The channel surrounded them in blinding radiance. Energy surged along the hull, but the shields held. The shadows behind them pressed closer, flickering at the edges of the passage like the talons of some unseen predator. Just when Rowan thought they had gained distance, the passage constricted. A tremor rippled through the currents. Bren swore. It's sealing the channel, Rowan stood. Can we break through? Maybe, Callan said. But the stress, we don't have a choice. Orin primed the forward emitters. On your mark, Commander, Rowan clenched his fists. Fire, a burst of focused energy shot ahead, splitting the narrowing passage just enough for the resolute wanderer to burst through. The ship lurched violently as they exited the channel and re-entered open flow. The shadows halted just short of the breach, as though repelled by some unseen barrier. Then, slowly, they began to recede. The bridge was silent except for heavy breathing. Rowan lowered himself into his seat, exhaling long and slow. Status. Bren slumped in relief. We are clear. The distortions are dissipating. Callan checked shields. Minimal damage. We got lucky. Rowan shook his head. Not luck. The enemy reached for us, but it's still too far to breach fully. That's our only advantage. They were safe for now, but the message was clear. The enemy had sensed them. It had touched the expanse, and next time it would be stronger. Rowan turned to Odin. How is our visitor? Odin hesitated. Fading. It used the last of its strength to flee here. It said it could guide us, but only if it survives. Rowan stood. Then we make sure it does. As he made his way to the docking bay, the ship hummed steadily around him. The luminous currents outside flowed once more in their graceful dance, but Rowan felt no comfort in their beauty. The enemy now had their scent, and there was no telling how long it would take to reach them once more. In the docking bay, the alien being lay dimmer than before, its form flickering like a candle guttering in the wind. Rowan approached softly. Odin stood nearby, weary from translating. Rowan crouched beside the being. We escaped, he said quietly, but we need your help. There are 4 more bastions. We need to reactivate them before your enemy breaks through. Will you guide us? The being stirred weakly. A faint pulse radiated outward, gentle but determined. The interface node translated silently through Odin. It will guide us, Odin whispered. But it warns that each bastion will awaken the enemy further. The closer we move to reactivating all of them, the more desperate it will become. Rowan nodded slowly. Let it come. Humanity isn't running. The being's light grew just slightly at that, as though a fragile ember of hope had been rekindled. Rowan rose, determination settling into his bones like iron. Prepare the crew, he said. We are going after the second bastion. But deep inside, he already knew the enemy was waiting for them, and with every bastion they awakened, it would reach further, stronger, faster, until finally they would face it. The luminous currents dimmed as the resolute wanderer moved deeper into the expanse, entering a region where the once vibrant rivers of energy bent inward, as though drawn toward an invisible core. Rowan felt the ship's hull vibrating under his boots, a low rhythmic tremor that grew stronger the farther they traveled. The alien survivor rested in a specialized containment field near the medbay, its fading light gradually stabilizing under Odin's constant supervision. Though its strength was limited, its awareness had sharpened. Through the interface node, it now whispered guidance in patterns of light and resonance far too complex for human senses alone. Rowan stood at the central holotable as Odin projected the translated star map the being had shared. This is the path to the second bastion, Odin said, pointing to the oddly shaped network of glowing roots. Unlike the first one, this structure doesn't lie dormant. It's in a state of disorder, caught between activation and collapse. The surviving being calls it a fractured pillar. It may be unstable. Rowan studied the map. Can we stabilize it? Odin hesitated. We can try, but the survivor says the fractured pillar is different from the others. It was the first bastion they built, but the last one they lost. Strong-willed, reactive, and influenced by the memories of those who fell defending it. Bren frowned. You're saying the bastion itself has memories? In a way, Odin replied. The ancient species embedded a memory lattice into each pillar, but the fractured one absorbed more than its design intended. When the enemy broke through it ages ago, countless defenders died inside its walls. The structure remembers. Odin swallowed. Their fear, their resolve, their suffering. and their final, desperate stand. Orin exhaled deeply, so it's haunted. Rowan rested both hands on the table. If it's still standing, even in a broken state, we activate it. The seal needs all 5 bastions. We've already awakened one. We can't stop now. He looked at Odin. How long until we reach it? 3 hours at current velocity, Odin said. Maintain course, Rowan ordered. But keep scanning. The enemy came close before. It won't give up now. As the hours crawled by, tension gripped the crew. Every tremor of the hull, every pulse from the expanse, every flicker of shadow in peripheral vision set nerves on edge. Rowan paced between stations, checking progress, offering calm reassurances he did not entirely feel himself. Maya monitored weapon calibrations, adjusting the beam harmonics to handle distortions they might encounter. Bren and Kalin worked together on navigation, dodging unstable currents that threatened to shear the ship in half. Orin prepared shield modulators to counter energy inversion waves like the ones they had faced earlier. At last, the fractured pillar came into view. It towered above them in the glowing expanse of energy, spiraling like an ancient, crystalline fortress broken along jagged seams. Massive fractures ran through its walls, glowing faintly with the residue of battle after battle. Entire segments drifted in place, suspended by invisible forces, spinning slowly around the central core. Luminous fluid seeped through the cracks like liquid starlight, leaking into the surrounding currents. It's beautiful, Maya whispered. And terrifying, Bren added quietly. Rowan nodded once. Bring us in carefully. The resolute wanderer glided toward the fractured pillar, engines humming in gentle pulses. As they neared the outer perimeter, the interface node lit up, casting reflections across every surface. Odin placed both hands near its surface, eyes narrowed in focus. The bastion recognizes the survivor, he said. It's opening a pathway for us. A shimmering corridor of energy formed before the ship. Rowan guided them through it slowly, shields raised, weapons on standby. As the ship entered the interior of the fractured pillar, an eerie stillness enveloped them. Unlike the first bastion, which had felt dormant and serene, this one thrummed with unrest. The walls flickered with fragmented memories, echoes of glowing figures fighting, falling, rising, and falling again. Maya's jaw tightened. Whatever happened here, it wasn't quick. Rowan nodded grimly. Let's finish what they started. They docked in a cavernous chamber that once served as a central nexus. The architecture was magnificent even in ruin, vast columns of crystalline lattice intertwined like frozen lightning, shattered in multiple places, yet still exuding power. The air hummed with energy. The alien survivors' containment field was floated down from the medical bay by robotic arms. As soon as it entered the chamber, the fractured pillar reacted. The glow of the walls increased. Resonance waves rippled across the floor. Patterns of light flickered like an ancient heartbeat returning to life. Odin stepped forward. It says this bastion can be stabilized. We must reconnect the 5 anchor cores and reignite the central lattice. But the memories woven into the structure may resist us. Rowan frowned. Resist? In what way? The defenders who died here left imprints of their final moments, Odin said quietly. The lattice is full of echoes, fragments of consciousness. They relive the fall of the bastion endlessly. They might see us as intruders. A rumble shook the chamber as though responding to Odin's words. Cracks widened along the walls, spilling more luminous liquid. The floor glowed brighter, forming patterns beneath their feet, patterns Rowan recognized from the shared memories. Maya raised her weapon. Commander, something's happening. Rowan lifted his hand. Hold, no sudden moves. Shapes emerged from the fractured walls, figures of light, half-formed and flickering. They bore the outline of the ancient species, but their features were distorted, their forms unstable. They glided through the chamber like echoes of ghosts, turning their hollow gazes toward the humans. One figure drifted closer to Rowan, its light dimming and brightening with each movement. Odin's voice was tight. They're the memories, echoes of those who fought here. The figure hovered inches from Rowan, studying him, Then it emitted a wavering pulse, a question. Odin translated. It asks if we come to continue their fight. Rowan stood tall. Tell them yes. Odin relayed the message through the node. The figure flickered rapidly, then burst in a radiant wave that illuminated the entire chamber. All the echoes turned sharply toward the central lattice. The ground vibrated. The anchors are opening, Odin said. We must connect them before the memories destabilize the pillar again. The team split, moving toward the 5 glowing anchor points along the chamber's perimeter. Rowan reached the first. Its surface pulsed weakly. He placed his hand on the lattice, and a surge of energy shot upward, lighting the anchor's core. Across the room, Maya activated the second. Bren and Orin secured the third and fourth. Odin guided the survivor to the 5th anchor, its fading light strengthening as it approached. When all 5 anchors glowed at once, the entire pillar roared with energy. The echoes gathered in a swirling ring above them, their forms merging into a collective resonance that spiraled upward like a luminous vortex. Odin shouted over the rising hum. Now, Commander, activate the central lattice. Rowan rushed to the center of the chamber. The massive crystalline structure pulsed erratically, fragments floating and colliding in violent rhythms. Rowan placed both hands on the activator plate. The moment he did, memories flooded through him, images of battle, fear, sacrifice, triumph, despair. He felt the emotions of thousands who had stood their ground here. He felt the final catastrophic breach that tore the bastion apart. For a moment, he staggered, overwhelmed. But then he felt something else. A spark, a plea. A hope that had survived millennia. Rowan gritted his teeth and pressed harder. Hold together, he whispered. We are here now, you're not alone. The lattice responded. The fragments snapped into alignment, the fractured walls knitting together with streams of radiant energy. The echoes joined as one, their swirling forms diving into the core. A deafening pulse cracked through the chamber, followed by a surge of brilliant light that washed over everything. Then silence, steady, calm, complete. Rowan opened his eyes. The fractured pillar stood whole once more. The memories had quieted. The echoes vanished peacefully into the lattice. Odin exhaled in disbelief. It worked. But then the interface node flared violently. The alien survivor convulsed in its containment field, its light spasming. Odin ran to it instantly. What's happening? Rowan demanded. Odin's face went pale. The activation sent a ripple across the expanse. The enemy felt it, all of it. It knows exactly where we are now and how many bastions we've reawakened. Rowan's stomach tightened. How long until it reaches us? Odin swallowed hard. It's already on the move. A tremor shook the rebuilt pillar, this time not from within, but from beyond. The luminous currents outside flickered violently, shadows spreading across them like cracks through stained glass. Rowan stared upward as the chamber lights dimmed. The enemy was coming. The next confrontation would not be a distant ripple or a probing shadow. It would be real. And it would be soon. The resolute wanderer had reawakened 2 bastions, but the war that had ended an ancient civilization was no longer history. It was beginning again.